dear listeners. Welcome to another Speak and Flow podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Today, I have the pleasure and honor of introducing Jen Villanueva. We have had an amazing, wonderful time working together. So I'd love for you to meet her. Jen, welcome.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Hi,
Hi.
Melinda.
Hi. So as I mentioned, we had the chance to work together. And so I'd like for Jen to share her experience about what it was like when we were working together and what some of her results are. But before we do that, Jen, can you tell us what you have done or what you do?
Sure. So I'm a certified personal trainer and a health education coach for Kaiser and the American Heart Association. And so I do a lot of work one-to-one. If, very generally, if people say, hey, I want to be healthier, I really help them discover what that means for them and actually put that into action. And
Mhm.
so currently I'm doing more of the consultation, doing virtual one-on-one coaching, phone coaching or on Zoom. But I love it. It's something that has been very important for me ever since I was a kid. And I just, every time I learn about ways to be healthier, I love turning it around and sharing it with other people. So it's been very different from my corporate job about, oh my gosh, 10 years ago now. 10 years ago, I quit my job and became a personal trainer because I wanted my life to really be in service of other people.
And you so do that. You so do that. You guide people on their health journey and you are a relatable, honest, like caring person. And we know that health journey is so difficult and so challenging. And so you do that and you model the way so beautifully because we know that as we go on the health journey, like there's obstacles that come in the way. And so how do we still like commit to our health journey even when there's other things coming at us? And then be able to commit and stay committed.
Absolutely. And I think that's kind of where I actually want to, kind of tell you, and if you don't mind me just jumping in
Yeah.
on where or what happened to me. So, in 2018, my sister had a stroke. And that really changed the trajectory of my life. 3 weeks after that, my dad had a stroke and he passed away 2 months after. So during that time, or right before that, I was doing personal training, I was teaching group exercise classes, and then I had to take a pause on all of that to focus on my family. And when that happened, I took my eye off of my own health. And so I was gaining weight. I was more stressed out. I really wasn't like living my truth the way I wanted to. And, you know, I'm, I already started this when I was older. I became a trainer when I was 40 years old and, made this huge shift then. And so, flash forward to being older and, um, my body doesn't quite rebound the way it did. It was very much a struggle. And so I still was coaching for American Heart Association. I coach a women's group there called Better You.
Which is so
And
great. Offers a lot of resources, experts. And
absolutely. And it
you
was something that I planned. I was still able to do. In fact, my sister and my mom became participants in the program, which was really nice. So we were all able to do that together. But I felt that even though I was still able to coach, I wasn't doing that to the extent that I wanted to, or that I had in the past. And so American Heart Association asked me to be part of a fundraiser called Women of Impact. And at the time, I was just starting to get back into training again, and but I wasn't feeling very confident. I was just starting to move my own body again, and I felt like I was starting at the beginning. And when they asked me to do this program, which required a lot of community outreach, really putting myself out there, I really was at a loss of, or I felt like that was going to be a really big challenge for me. And then I joined I'm part of this networking group where we have guest speakers every month. So it's WCOC, and then you were one of the speakers, and it really like made such a tremendous difference. Just that some of the exercises that that you brought us to really reminded me of my roots, like in particular, like with my dad and my family, and how important they are to me, and what kind of legacy do I want to leave to help represent them. And so public speaking was something that I was that I like to do, but I know that I needed to have more finesse. And teaching classes was pretty easy, but I do know that there's times where I can get easily frazzled. So if the situation, all the conditions were ideal, then no problem. But you can't always count on that when you're like in front of a big crowd of maybe a lot of strangers. And so that's where I knew that I was going to need those skills. And so that's when we started working together. I had to find my voice and my purpose and like really kind of my mission statement of what how I wanted to carry my life, forward. And so you were such a big part of it, not only like teaching a class in this like campaign that I led, but then just continue to help me hone in my skills with teaching classes. In fact, I keep on getting asked to teach more classes, which is great. And really, I think public speaking can really get in the way of the message that you want to give people. And I think you've provided me like really tremendous skills in making sure that message is reached and really, connecting with people, communicating. And yeah, I could go on, obviously.
Oh, I love that pause there, that pause that you just did, right? That's what it's about, right? Like, I know because you're such a go-getter, high achiever, Jen. And so many of us that are leaders and people that I work with are high achievers. They're go-getters. And then when we're like that, we want everything to go so well, right? When it comes to public speaking. And then so we end up either over giving or over speaking. And I remember you saying, Linda, I spoke and I just knew that it was enough. Like you didn't second guess, just like what you just did just now. You took a pause and you're
Yeah,
like, you said a couple sentences and then you're like, that's it. And
yeah.
that was enough. There's
It
no need to overgive, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
And I think the idea of like being present, so like the
yeah,
pause was like my number one lesson, really. To go on and on, especially when you don't know what to do next.
yeah,
And so one of the other things that I noticed was just really being present with myself, just to know when to pause, to know to check in. And even when I lose the thread, instead of getting flustered or stressed out, I just stop and then I pause, and it's okay. So I do that all the time in my classes. There's times where sometimes technology is getting in the way, or there's I have a dog here in the background, like maybe she's getting fussy, or there's a lot of things that can happen, but I don't lose my cool.
yeah, yeah. I love that. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I mean, that in its nutshell is just that you just owning your space and knowing, like you said, when to pause, when to not. And I almost want to translate it also is connected to you as a work in health. Like when do we pause for ourselves? There's so much that's going on and so many other things that are around us. Like when is it to take a pause and take care of yourself?
Yeah, it's the pause, and I mean self-care is, it's not like an extra thing that you do, it's essential.
Yeah.
And when I'm speaking, I mean that is like there's a lot of parallels to that.
Yeah.
And and even it's funny because now that I was, one of the things I wanted to mention was just the fact that sometimes I might like lose a thread or go off on a tangent and get a little lost, but
Right.
I could, because I'm present, I notice it right away,
Right.
and then I take a step back, and I'm okay with that. So I give myself grace
Right.
and allow other people to give themselves grace too. So it's not,
Right.
it's not like, hey, I'm going to let you off the hook and let things slide. I'm going
Right.
to stand for you in your highest, you
Mhm.
know, I don't know what the word is, but like in your highest, like I just hold you in the highest regard.
Mm.
And um And so I coach into that,
Mm.
also knowing that real life gets in the way, and
Yes.
how do we navigate through that? So what
Yeah.
do you do? What are some tools that you could use?
Exactly. Yeah. How much that's a parallel right there.
Hmm.
Completely like holding ourselves at the highest grace, even if we get off of the tangent, even if we go off track a little bit, like that's just life. It's just messy. And so sometimes I think public speaking, people perceive it as I have to be perfect. I have to, and the thing is, the more we let go of the need to be perfect, the actual irony is we end up relaxing into it, and we allow ourselves to hold ourselves with this compassion, this safety to mess it up, to go off to, and then we do less of it, which then ends up feeling everybody feels good, you feel good, I feel good, the audience feels good, and
Yeah.
open ourselves to this messiness, but and be okay with it. It's this
Yeah.
is weird irony. But then you know what to do
Right.
in the moment. We know what to
Yeah.
do in the moment because we're present, we're here, we take the steps that we need to in the moment.
Hmm. It I remember when so I ended up winning Women at Impact, which was really,
Yay, I
really
know.
amazing. I was so proud. My team was wonderful. We raised a lot of money for a great cause and really went out there in the community. I mean, I think that I was the one who like really like we had all these classes, and that were very impactful. And I had to say a speech. They told us all to prepare something. I couldn't tell at the time if they only told me because I won or if they told everybody else or what. But when I prepared and I used the format that you gave us, so I felt like I had the at least the outline, like a small outline in mind. So it was enough to have something to hold on to. But when I actually spoke, it wasn't from reading a script. I was able to be very organic, tell the story. It was a great way to honor my dad. My mom and my sister, my boyfriend were there watching. There was a bunch of people I didn't know, and that didn't faze me. And after I got to the point where I said, okay, that's enough.
Huh?
Thank you very much. Get off the podium. And afterwards, I had so many people approach me and said, "Oh my God, that was such a that was a great tribute that you had to your dad." And that it was there was just like it really touched them. There
Yeah.
were stroke survivors, heart attack survivors there, and that message really resonated. And so that was so gratifying to have like that culmination um,
Oh.
during that program. That was 2 years ago, and now it continues. So yeah, it's been
Yeah,
awesome.
how beautiful. I remember when you won that, and I remember when yeah, we were able to say that speech. And because you just had a framework and you just went more from your heart, you're able to connect
Yeah.
to the audience in a way that is more deep, in a way that resonates with them. And that's why came back, and they came back to tell you how they felt that message.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It was so much in contrast of a different time where I had to say something,
Yeah,
and there was a lot of people.
yeah.
I was on a mic, but the mic was like it was echoey and it really threw me off, so I couldn't hear my
Oh,
own voice.
oh,
And I kept on trying to talk through it, but the more I did, the more I kept on thinking, I don't understand what I'm saying.
yeah,
I don't even know like what's going on. I was so frazzled. And it was like the complete opposite of that experience. Like that experience was oh, I'll never do that again, right? Like
right.
that's the worst case scenario. And then here, I had a completely different experience. And so I know now that if I started off like off the way I did that time,
Yep.
I know I could handle it better. I
Yeah,
know I could,
I agree.
like just thinking like, hey, let me pause,
Yep.
let me get like just get all my bearings and then continue instead of just trying to power through things. So
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. So glad. Yeah,
Thank you.
the journey continues. You're able to take that with you, take the pause, you know how to get the bearings, like work with where you're at. I think when you're in that, in something like that and you can't think, we don't know what to do but to power through the whole thing. So,
Mhm.
so now you have more like presence when you're not as afraid, or you just have more presence in the room. And so you know what to do. You can do the problem solving if you need. So,
Yeah. And problem solving is actually a big thing of what I do with the participants in the programs I coach.
uh-huh.
So I need to be able to take material and then communicate it to them in a way where it lands, right?
Yeah,
And not only land, but hey, this is something that I could that resonates with me, and then I could put into action.
yeah,
And 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 because I am not just focusing on what I'm saying, I'm actually like reading the room and can see, it's still via Zoom, but I can still see if people are understanding or not,
mhm,
and trying to get that interaction,
mhm,
and really, you know, meeting them at the moment. So if
mhm.
people are asking questions or they're explaining their situation and I'm coaching them through that, I can do that on the fly because I already feel settled with me. Now I
Right,
could like look outside.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Jen. If people wanted to get a hold of you or meet with you or learn more about Better You, can you share more about that? And we can put it in the show notes.
Sure. So for American Heart Association, the Better You program, it's part of their Go Red initiative.
Mm.
The class is approximately 12 to 14 weeks long. And so every week we talk about a different aspect of heart health,
Yeah.
um, with an emphasis on stress management, and we still talk about nutrition and getting more active, but we've expanded the breadth of health, right? And so we've included, like in this past year, communication.
Mm.
So whether it's listening or how to convey or how to speak your truth to other people where it lands for them, that could cause a great deal of stress if you're not when you're not practicing that.
Right.
And so giving them some tools around that could help alleviate a lot of stress and make people happier. Um, that program is in San Francisco. They have a few other ones, but it's sponsored by UCSF. And I could send a link. I think it's, if you just look up Better You, the letter U at the end, then people can find it. And yeah,
Awesome.
there.
That's it. I think that's it. Awesome, Jen.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And
Hey.
I'm wishing you the best. And I can't wait to sponsor also your colon awareness
Yes. So
run.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. The other one is Colon Cancer Coalition. So that's a 5K that's starting July 14th. So if people want to run Lake Merced in San Francisco,
Yeah.
it's a small. Well, it's small right now. We would love to expand it, but it's such a great family oriented community setting. We have such a it's a great group of people that we're helping, and they're called Operation Access, and the people that have been planning and coordinating this event is they're dear friends of mine, and we're getting a lot done this year.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Jen.
Thanks, Melinda.
Thank you so much.
And I just have to thank you, Melinda. You've been so amazing. You've made such a big difference in my life. And so anytime that somebody mentions, whether public speaking being a fear or there's something that they're dreading for work, I immediately think of you, and I'm like, here, you need to talk to her. She will set you straight. You'll feel
So
so much
good.
happier.
You're so good. Thank you so much, Jen.
Okay. Thanks, Melinda.
Sending you lots of love. Thank you,
Mm.
audience. Thanks for being here. Until next time, take care. Bye. Thanks for joining the conversation today. Are you curious on how you measure up with your ability to speak in flow? Come grab my free self-assessment at https://speakinflow.com/assessment. And I'll see you on the other side.